California has already jumped in. California has already filed suit to stop this. New York has also announced that they're going to sue. At least 10 other states say they're going to join that New York lawsuit. Former Attorney General Eric Holder's organization is suing. It's been barely 24 hours since the administration announced late last night that they would add a question on citizenship to the next census. To make that call, they overruled career officials at the Bureau who warned that adding that question would lead to an undercount of the American population. They also pressed forward despite the warnings of every living person who has actually run the U.S. Census before. And so, yeah, already a dozen states and a group run by the former Attorney General of the United States have already filed at least 3 different major lawsuits against the Trump administration's decision here. And it is only day one. Joining us now is Vanita Gupta. She's the former head of the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department. She's now president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights. Ms. Gupta, it's an honor to have you here tonight. Thank you for your time.
Great to be here.
So why is an undercount on the census such a big deal? And are you confident in the data that suggests that will be the result of this action by the Trump administration?
An undercount on the census is a very big deal. The census is the basis, as you said, for congressional representation, for the doling out of state and federal dollars to every part of the country. What I think is really important to note here is that when the Justice Department sent a letter to the Department of Commerce back in December asking for the inclusion of this question, Jeff Sessions' Justice Department said that they needed this question to enforce the Voting Rights Act. Now, you and I may know that Jeff Sessions has been no champion of civil rights and has indeed called the Voting Rights Act an intrusion. And so to say suddenly that Jeff Sessions' Justice Department has found religion on the Voting Rights Act, and that is the basis for this, I think really is laughable. And what the decision to add a citizenship question that was made yesterday by Secretary Ross, in effect, weaponizes the census for the kind of nativist partisan agenda that Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions have been promoting. And this is a deeply alarming thing because ultimately the census is a constitutionally mandated program that is supposed to count every single person in this country, not just citizens, every person.
I know a little bit about the interesting constitutional origins. We have very few things in the Constitution that we're actually actively directed to do by the Founding Fathers and by our constitutional inheritance. We got to have a post office. We got to do a census. There aren't that many of those things. So I'm familiar with that. I'm also familiar with the political importance of the census, all the different things it's used for, everything from the business world to academic research to the allocation of federal dollars and very, very important political allocation decisions, including congressional districts and stuff like that. What I don't know anything about at all, though, is the census as a subject of litigation. How clear is the case law and the precedent in terms of conducting the census fairly, conducting it in a way that is designed to be effective and not purposely undercount people? What do you make of the chances these various lawsuits have at challenging the administration's decision here?
Look, I mean, as you said, there are very few things that are truly mandated in the Constitution, and conducting a fair count of every person who is in this country is one of them. And it's for the purpose of being able to determine congressional representation. And so here we have a situation where the Trump administration is purposefully setting the census up to ensure, in this kind of context, a depression of participation of certain vulnerable communities. And so I think that these lawsuits are making a very strong and viable claim that in so doing, there is purposeful, unconstitutional efforts to undermine the census and, frankly, to put over $16 billion of taxpayer money at risk, because this is one of the most complex operations, peacetime operations that the government conducts. This is a consequence, by the way, that we will have to live with for 10 years. So litigation is really important, and there will be more of that to come. But also, Congress can undo this, and they can undo it any time between now and when the census is actually counted in 2020. And that's why it's really important that the Leadership Conference Coalition continue to urge Congress to take the right step. That's why people need a vote in November to make sure that this kind of thing, the politicization of the census and the undermining of our democracy, is not allowed to go unaccounted for.
Vanita Gupta, head of the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department and the Obama administration, now president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights. Thank you for helping us understand this. When you say there will be more litigation to come, I believe you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Also, the last point she was making there, that Congress can overturn this in November 2018. Obviously, that won't happen with Republican control of Congress. But you can already see among sort of the brightest lights in Democratic strategizing that people are realizing that a Democratic takeover of Congress in November should in some ways be predicated on this issue. If Democrats are going to be procedurally disenfranchised or at least disadvantaged in electoral politics by something that the administration is about to do right now, I think Democrats would see that as a matter of some urgency to re-level the playing field if they got control of Congress in November. This is going to be a big deal over these next few months. All right, stay with us. More to come.